The left has been telling us for a long time that the solution for gender-confused kids is to transgender them. So they're saying that experimental drugs and irreversible surgeries are somehow the answer, but it's obvious to everyone that certainly did not help the situation yesterday in the deadly church shooting in Minneapolis. So what could have potentially have helped the gunman? And what can help those other individuals who are struggling with gender dysphoria? Well, joining me now to discuss this is Maria Keffler. She's co-founder of Advocates Protecting Children and author of Desist, Detrans, and Detox, Getting Your Child Out of the Gender Cult. Maria, welcome back to Washington Watch. Thank you for joining us.
Back.
Well, listen, I don't know if you heard a while ago, I had Libby Emmons on with me, and she mentioned that in the manifesto yesterday, the shooter actually had written that he'd regretted transitioning, saying that he was tired of being trans, that he wished he had never brainwashed himself and so forth. So the left is trying, I guess, probably to say that those comments are coming from an outlier in the trans community. But what can anyone honestly say in regard to medicating and mutilating children, that somehow that's the solution for gender dysphoria?
Yeah, it's not. There's nothing healthy about the current path that kids are being put on if they express any kind of gender confusion. For decades, watchful waiting was the standard of care, where if a child thought, they'd rather be the other sex, you'd wait, help them get through puberty naturally. And the vast majority of these kids, when they go through puberty, they align with their birth sex. There's no data supporting the affirmation model, which I don't even like to call it affirmation. That's too positive of a word. It's really appeasement. And we see thousands and thousands of people detransitioning. I'm not even exaggerating. A few years ago, if you looked at the subreddit Dtrans, r/Dtrans, there were a couple of thousand people in there, which is quite a lot. I just went and checked today, and there's 57,000 detransitioners. So we know this is not a healthy path to put kids on. What we find is this really is cult-like. This man was correct that he was brainwashed. I don't think he brainwashed himself. I think he was brainwashed by public schools, social media, smartphones. A lot of private schools, unfortunately, are doing it too. It's throughout the culture. Any problem you have, they say you'll be fixed by transitioning, which is not the case. We need to be speaking truth and love to people who have mental health issues. This is a mental health issue. Kids, even young adults, people who are doing this, they're hurting. They've got something wrong, whether it's autism, mental health issues, prior trauma, something's wrong. And when they latch on to this idea of gender ideology, suddenly nothing else gets looked at. Nothing else gets treated. So they need to have their real mental health issues taken care of. They need to be told the truth. Hey, your body informs your sex. You're male, you're female. There's nothing else. Doesn't matter what your preferences are, what colors you like, what you like to do in your free time. You're a man, you're a woman, you're a boy, you're a girl. That's truth. And then the love that comes alongside that is, let's figure out what's really hurting you and get that treated and fixed. So that's really what needs to happen.
So what do you say to those who would equate parents, and I'm going to use the same term you did with the same bit of dislike for this phrase, but what do you say to those who equate parents who refuse to be gender affirming, that they're bad parents, or that to do so is even child abuse?
Well, that's part of the cult, right? Cults do a number of things to recruit and retain their followers. And one thing is to vilify anybody who doesn't agree with the cult dogma. And that's what we see happening when you're called names, transphobe, hater, bigot. Those are just thought-stopping devices to try to get you to stop thinking deeply about what the cult is doing. It's hard on parents. I talk to parents all the time who are dealing with this. The kids can be really militant, really angry. The neighbors, they sometimes are losing family members who disagree. But I'd like to speak to parents who are going through this. We're talking about your child's health. We're talking about their future. We're talking about their fertility. As hard as it is to take a stand on truth, it's always the right thing to do as long as you are coupling it with, hey, I love you. That's never going to change. The fact that I disagree with you about this is not evidence that I don't love you. In fact, it's evidence I love you so much. I'm not willing to let you hurt yourself. And so I'm going to do what I think is right to try to help you so that you can get back to good health, back to understanding what reality is.
That's very important points there. Let me ask you this, moving on from the transgender issue itself, you're talking about talking with parents. Would you have recommendations of perhaps how parents may need to or want to talk to their children about school shootings? What kind of advice would you give there?
That's really hard. And I would say it depends on the age of the child. The younger the child is, the more careful you need to be about not scaring the child. If we're talking about a kindergarten, first grade, second grade child, if they don't know about the school shootings, I think I would really hesitate bringing it up. If a young child comes to you and says, that they've heard about this, with the younger kids, I'd say, up to 10, 11, 12 years old, focus on the safety. There are some people in the world who are really broken, and sometimes broken people try to hurt other people, and that's awful. But your mom and dad and your teachers, we're all doing everything we can to keep you safe. We're going to keep you as safe as we can.
Maria Keffler, co-founder of Advocates Protecting Children. By the way, I love the name of your book. Great job. Thank you for putting that out there for us. And thank you so much for joining us today on Washington Watch.
Thanks so much.